Hey everyone. I'll give a moment for Melissa to join in and for y'all to join in, and then we're going to have some fun with this chat, talking about spiritual topics, advice if you guys wanted, and more, answering the questions that you guys had sent to us in the DMs when we put it in our story. So we'll be answering those questions that y'all sent. Hey Autumn. Good to see you. Hey. I'm waiting for Melissa to join in too. Then we'll get this chat going. I am in my bed. You guys know I am preggers. So this is where I was most comfortable right now. Didn't feel like doing the whole setup. We're just gonna chat and chill. Hi, beautiful. Hi, beautiful to you too. Hey, Raina. Okay, here comes Melissa. Let me add her in. Let's see. Did I do this right? I feel like oh, there it is. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. Good. I got my little seltzer water going, and I was like, I'm sitting in bed. This is where I'm comfortable right now.
It's okay. I'm over here like in the dark with my lit tree.
Oh, I like your tree though.
Thank you. It feels very magical.
I was gonna say it's very elvish.
Yeah, it's just like me.
Yes. Melissa is an elf.
100% an elf. If I was in the Lord of the Rings, I would be an elf. 100%.
Yes. Raina said that we look good. Thank you, Raina. um, so we are gonna answer the questions you guys sent to us, and if we have time at the end, if we hadn't been blabbing too long, um, we can answer some more, but we'll start with the ones that we got. Um, just to quickly talk a little bit about us. So, you guys know me. You're on my live. As you guys know, I'm a psychic, intuitive empath. I don't really like all these labels. You guys know how I am, but I'm intuitive, okay? And I read tarot and oracle, but yes, I do have mediumship abilities as well. I don't really advertise that because I can't really like will it in. It just happens when it happens. Melissa, do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself real quick if they haven't seen you before?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, everyone. If you're new to my page, my name is Melissa. I am an intuitive tarot card and oracle card reader. I started reading, I think in 2018 is when I first started reading. And then Erica was actually the person that inspired me to go on this journey. So here we are.
Yes, I love helping people to push them to it because I just feel like everybody's so differently gifted that there's more than enough to go around. I never see other readers as competition or anything like that because people can get something different and valuable from everyone. So, um, so I just see a couple questions. We'll answer this real quick and then we'll get into the ones you guys sent. Um, how did y'all meet? Like your combined vibes, they said.
Thank you.
And we're going to probably go live for about 30 minutes to the second question. So how we met, I was actually a reader for Melissa. And I was like, well, I'll let her tell it too. But like, basically, I was like, I saw the gift in her and encouraged her to do that. And we just kind of been chatting ever since. I used to be from the DMV area. I used to live in Maryland and Melissa's in Virginia. And then we just became friends.
Yeah, I was getting readings from Erica pretty regularly. And I remember one reading that I had with her. She said something to me along the lines of like, your intuition is really strong. You should just start like picking up a tarot deck and just do like a card of the day every day to really help strengthen in your intuition. And I was really like flattered by that because I was like, me? Like I could do this too? Because I don't know, tarot just seems so magical to me at that time. And it still does, but I didn't necessarily see myself as being able to do that. So after a certain amount of time, I think I found her on social media and started following that way. And then we just became friends.
Yes. Yeah, it's so funny how all that works. It's funny because I posted something in my story today and it was like, a client will become your friend faster than a friend will become a client.
So
And
true.
that is like the story of my life. But let's hop on into the questions that were previously sent. And then I see some people sent some more. So if we have time, we'll get to those, or maybe we'll save it. I'm going to screenshot it right now, actually, just in case. So in the future, if we have another live and we don't get to it, we can answer it in another one, just in case. Can't stay too long because baby's on the bladder. But but my Prager problems. So the first question, I'll go with the one that got sent to me because I only got one sent to me, and then I know you got some more.
Yes.
So somebody asked us, what is our view on casual sex / friends with benefits? And to me, they're slightly different things because you can be friends with benefits, but it's not so casual because you know this person, you know what I mean?
Right.
But to me, to answer about casual sex, I don't think there's anything casual about sex, just being blunt, for a number of reasons. In terms of like 3D stuff, health wise, there's nothing casual about it. And protection, you know, can fail sometimes. So then you have the risk for pregnancy. And then on the spiritual side of things, you are exchanging life force energy. And if you are exchanging that life force energy with someone who has not dealt with some of their shadows or is carrying trauma, I have a video on my YouTube about spiritual STDs. And basically, what I mean by that is you take on all of your issues on a spiritual level, and you can create soul ties with somebody that has all of these symbolic inner demons they haven't dealt with. And like, just to give an example, like from the male side of things, males think that they can not feel emotion and detach from and just have sex with anybody and not feel anything. And that can be true, but I don't see that as a good thing because that can mess with your heart chakra by just spreading it around.
Well, and also when you think about guys that behave like that, I don't know, there is something about their energy that's a little like, you can tell their heart is blocked. Like you can tell that there's not really a lot of fulfillment that they're truly getting out of that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And to your point, like, I don't know, it is an exchange of like really powerful energy. Mm-hmm. And even as a man, like you should be like so cautious about the woman that you are spreading it into,
you know? Giving away the jewels.
Yes.
Because that too, because a lot of them will wonder why their life is not getting on track or why they don't feel fulfilled or fully happy. And that's because you're giving your life force energy away to people that don't, maybe are not, maybe both of you aren't healed, or maybe one of you has more issues than the other. And so there was a video by this woman I watch a lot on YouTube. I know her Instagram is Adunola the Oracle, but she calls it the sexual bank or the sexual energy bank or something. And it just keeps getting depleted. And it goes both ways. Like for women, when you are dealing with someone who you may not know that well because it's a casual sex or a fling, you don't know what their history is physically, maybe sometimes, or even spiritually, or like emotionally, mentally. And you could be taking their energy into your womb and your sacral, and that can cause issues later with your sacral, which could lead to fibroids or issues with getting pregnant or other issues within the womb. So there's like nothing casual about sex at all. So when people are like, oh, casual sex, I'm like, there's nothing casual about it. Now, did you want to share your thoughts on friends with benefits?
I don't really see the benefits of friends with benefits, to be honest, because I have the same stance as you. I don't think that there's anything casual about that. Like, there's nothing casual about sex. And when it comes to friends with benefits arrangements, personally, I kind of feel like there's usually one party that's getting the benefits in that arrangement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter, like it could be the male or the female or whatever gender, but like usually that's an arrangement where one person is benefiting so much more than the other. And yeah, for me, I just don't see the benefit of it.
Same. And we're not judging anybody if that's
No.
what we're just saying is maybe just be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more selective, a little bit more spiritually protected up if you're going to go that route, because it can lead to so much and affects you in ways that you may not even realize down the road.
Well, and
So,
I think just even from like personal experience, I've never really had like a friends with benefits, but I've been in like a situationship before, which might as well have been a friends with benefits. You know what I mean? And so like in that scenario, there's already so much anxiety going on because it's like you don't really know where you stand with the person, and then you're going into this really powerful energy exchange with them. And if the person that you're dealing with, to your point earlier, isn't healed, or they have anxieties and issues, like literally you're walking around like a ball of anxiety.
yeah,
I don't see the benefit in it.
I think a lot of people end up in friends with benefit situations by default because, like you said, they're in a situationship, but a lot of the time, maybe not all the time, but a lot of the time, somebody's hoping for it to become more, and the other person is not really there yet. And so they're like, oh, we're friends, but you know, but there is benefit, you're sharing that. And so it kind of happens by default. And then, like I said, they're just depleting from your energy, and you're sharing your most powerful creative life force energy in terms of the physical sense, but even in terms of manifestation. Like, it's so powerful, and people don't realize that sex is a sacred act, and so there's nothing casual about it. And again, we're not judging. I mean, I've
No.
made mistakes, so many mistakes. But it's because of those mistakes that I now know better and see that it's a very sacred act, and just try to help those trying to find their way.
Yeah, I think you have to ask yourself, like, if this exchange with this person ends up like in the creation of a child, just as an example, how are you going to feel? You know, is there a solid foundation in this connection? Is my whole world going to fall apart because this person isn't really ready for that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, you just have to really think about all that stuff before you're allowing someone to have that access to your body in that way.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
So, what is on your list? Some of the other questions.
Okay. Next question. How do we both discover our intuitive gifts?
Ooh, you want to go first?
I'll go first on this one. Kind of relates back to the situationship that I was telling you guys about earlier. So, a couple of years ago, I was dating someone, and like intuitively, we all have really strong intuition. Even if you don't believe you have intuitive gifts, you 100% have it. You just have to learn to trust it.
Mm.
So I was dating this person, and it was a situationship. I felt like everything was off. My intuition was trying to tell me this isn't right. So many red flags. And then I remember at one point, I think I dated this person for like 3 months. And at the ending of the situationship, I asked this person something along the lines of like, why do you even like me? Like, what do you like about me? And all they could say to me after 3 months of consistent like dating, talking, phone calls, all he could say to me was, I mean, you're cool. You're kind of chill. It was literally like tower moment. I was like, oh my God. Like, I
You're
had just
cool.
realized like, so whack. So I had literally it was like a tower moment because I realized this whole time I've already known this inside of me. And then this person is just telling me to my face that my intuition was correct the whole time. So after going through that experience, I think it really like snapped me out of reality a little bit, like, or snapped me back into reality rather. But like, I'm a lot more intuitive than I think I am. And that was just kind of the beginning for me. So
Yeah.
shortly after that is when I started like reading tarot, and just, pulling like a card of the day, pulling cards for myself just on different situations I had going on in my life. And that actually really helped me a lot to just understand myself a little bit better and also confirm and validate my intuitive abilities. And
Yes.
so I kind of like, I don't like the label psychic either. I kind of feel like in a way I'm still like learning, like I'm a baby psychic. So I do, I do definitely get like, what is it? Clairsentient hits a lot. So like when I'm doing readings for clients or doing readings on like my YouTube channel and stuff like that, a lot of times I'll be able to feel like really strongly what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my story.
Yeah. I'll share mine. Me personally, I obviously don't mind the term psychic. I go by Psychic Goddess Erica, but I used to. It was part of that what's the word? The taboo of it, the stereotypes of it, and then the fact that I had grown up Christian, that I was worried about people viewing me in a
Yeah.
certain way. And I used to always call myself an intuitive counselor, which I still could, but I kind of realized once I looked up what a psychic in terms of the literal definition is, and then once I began to like really see what it means to be psychic, it's people put too much weight on these terms, and so I kind of took it as a sense to like not take it so seriously, if that makes sense, because all a psychic is somebody with heightened intuition,
Right.
period. No matter how you use it, whether you're reading astrology, whether you're doing a mediumship reading, whether you are reading cards, whether you are reading shells or scrying in a crystal ball or a cloud, like it's so many things, but people think there's this stereotypical view of what a psychic is, and it's way more than that. It's
Yeah.
flows. So, I don't really like being put in a box, but because I
Yeah.
have to do it in this 3D world to some degree, I was like, okay, let me call myself Psychic Goddess Erica, because I'm not just a tarot reader. I'm not
Right.
just a card reader. I'm lots of things. So psychic kind of embodied all of those things. I'm a divinator, all of that. So that's why. Um, Honey the Influence said, wow. And then Raina said 100 to everything you guys have said. Thank you.
So
So,
how did you discover your intuitive or psychic gifts?
so mine, I think it's been different pockets throughout time, but the first time I knew something was up was I actually got, I told this story before if you guys have heard it already, but I got hit by a car in fourth grade. Um, at Mount Vernon in Virginia on a school field trip to George Washington's mansion estate. And we were going back to the buses for lunch. And I was getting ready across the street, and there's no cars. And I was getting right across the street, and a car came out of nowhere, and I heard somebody call my name. So I turned like kind of sideways. And when I turned, the car rolled over the side of my foot instead of like coming right at me. And um, I was okay. Luckily, I had on very thick Timberland boots because it was like fall time. And so the car, like the way it rolled over the side of my foot, didn't really cause much damage. So I was so thankful for that, as the fact that I was alive too. But they asked me,
Yeah.
hey, why'd you know to turn, how to turn like that? And I said, oh, somebody called my name. And they're like, nobody called you. And so that's when I knew, all right, something's up. That's when I first knew, but I didn't
Yeah.
really understand. And back then, I was very much, my family was like religious and all this. So they were like, oh, protected by the Holy Spirit, of this and that, and this and that. And which, whatever you want to call it, I was divinely
Yeah.
protected. But I heard somebody call me. What I now know, I'm going to kind of ramble a little bit, but what I now know, after, thanks to my friend Kenneth, Kenneth, he
Yes.
sent me this study about places that people have built certain like Masonic temples and other things and other areas on top of spiritual mounds from like indigenous people and stuff.
Yeah.
I now know that Mount Vernon, that area, there was a mound there. And so now looking back, and I'm like, man, those are probably my ancestors,
Yeah.
like you were calling me. But I know that now. I didn't know that then. But so that was the first time I knew something was up. And then after that, I would start. I used to see spirit animals, like the spirit animals we talk about. I would see them around, and I'd be like, oh, look at that, blah 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 blah. And they're like, there's nothing there. I'm like,
Yeah.
y'all don't see that deer right there or that wolf right there. You know what I mean? And so that started. I don't really see them as much anymore sometimes, but I more so feel them. And then I guess the next very epiphany kind of moment that I knew I had a gift was when I was in New Mexico, and I hit my depression, my rock bottom, my dark night of the soul, they call it. I went into metaphysical shop and I met Miss Goddess Rhonda, and she's the one who told me, hey, you're an empath, you're this and that. I can teach you to use your gifts. That way, all of the depression you're feeling, some of it will lift up because some of it is other people. Some of
Yeah.
it is you, yes, but a lot of it is other people too. So that's kind of how I discovered it too. She started teaching me about my gift and how to use it and how to read cards intuitively, though. She taught me to read intuitively, kind of like how you read too.
Yeah.
You and I, we don't really read in like the traditional sense of like, this is what the card means and this is the spread. Like, we just kind of, whatever we
Yeah.
see just triggers something and it just downloads. So
Definitely.
that's how it started.
That might be a good transition into the next question because someone else asked what our favorite spreads are and our favorite tarot and oracle decks and why.
Oh goodness, the favorite tarot decks. Oh my gosh. That's a hard question, but okay. Um, Me, I don't have any favorite spreads. I mean, I don't really use them. I do make them up from time to time, but it's kind of like just off the top of my head, like, okay, let me pull for this or that and put it in over here. But I know some spreads, like simple spreads like past, present, future, or like Celtic cross and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. But I don't really use them. I just kind of read where my eyes go or where spirit leads me. Or sometimes I'll just literally make up a spread in the moment.
Right.
What about you?
Similar. I don't really use spreads very often anymore. If I read for myself, one thing I like to do for myself is every month I'll do like a month ahead kind of spread and I'll use like oracle and tarot. So
Hmm.
when I'm using the tarot, I kind of in my mind have it like a sequence of like this is the present leading into the future. So I have like a timeline of events.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes it depends, but like sometimes maybe if I'm reading on an issue that I'm feeling a little too like wound up about, sometimes I find that spreads are good. So one that I really like is a start, stop, continue. So I do that one a lot for myself if I need advice on something and I need to just be like really grounded. And that's another one that I like to use for clients too.
So start, stop, continue. Is that like things you need to start, things you need to stop, and things you should continue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey Ari, what's up, cousin? Good to see you. My little cousin. She's a great dancer, y'all. If you want to check out her little page
Oh,
out.
nice.
Makes me proud. I used to dance back in my day. Just kidding. I
You
still
still
do
dance?
now. Very rarely. With the baby bump, we be in the mirror. But okay. I need a number for favorite card decks because it's a very hard question and they change all the time.
I know. So I can start because I don't really know if I have like a favorite, but I've sort of narrowed it down to like a certain aesthetic that I like for tarot decks.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't know. I love all different things, like Erica was saying, and it depends on my mood and what I'm feeling. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
most often I tend to be drawn to decks that feel more like modern, like they have more modern depictions of events going on, more modern, diverse depictions of like different people. Um, that's what I like. So I like the Light Seers tarot. I like the
Mm-hmm.
modern witch tarot. I like the urban
Mm-hmm.
tarot. I like the everyday witch tarot. So tarot decks like that are what really, I guess, appeal to me the most. But again, it just also depends because I love traditional Rider Waite. I also love animal decks sometimes. So it's hard to
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah, same. Mine always change depending upon my mood. Sometimes I'll be staring like these are all my decks right over there. And I'll just look over there and like one of them will kind of like stand out to me. I'm like, okay, I need to use
Mhm.
this one. Sometimes it is a little bit more superficial. I'll match it with my nails. It just depends. Like if I have hot pink nails, I might go for the Muse Tarot because it looks good with
Yeah.
hot nails. But just hey, that happens sometimes. But as far as I'll start off with tarot, some of my favorites. I'm gonna say top five currently because they change all the time. But currently, top five: Modern Witch Tarot, like you mentioned, um, the Hoodoo Tarot.
Yeah.
That one really talks to me. African American Tarot, the Vision Quest Tarot. That's a Native American deck, and the melanated classic tarot because it's basically the Rider Waite, but it's with melanated people, so it just kind of
Yeah.
resonates with me a bit more. Even though shout out Pamela Coleman Smith, who was a mixed woman of color who
Yes.
illustrated the original Rider-Waite tarot deck. Those are my current top 5 tarot decks. They do always change, like I said.
Yes.
But let's see. Oracle decks, mine, of course.
Of course.
For Archer's Answers Oracle deck, Archer's Love Oracle deck, Archer's Discernment Oracle deck, Archer's Career Oracle deck. But all of I had to throw it out there. But some other ones I also really love are the Earth Warriors Oracle deck. And if you guys are curious about that and you have like iPhone or something, there's an app version of it too. But I have both the physical deck and the app on my phone. That one, all you need is one card and you just get a full read. It's like so in-depth and detailed, and I love the art. So I love the art on that. And then as far as Oracle goes, yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites. Oh, the Sacred Self-Care Oracle. I like that one.
A good one.
That's a good one. And what's the other ones I use a whole lot? I would say those for right now in terms of my favorites of right now currently. They always change though.
Same. I also have a love for the Archer's Answers Oracle decks. Those are some of my favorite Oracle decks. But they're so good because you can pair them with tarot. And I find that to be really good for like, you know, with tarot cards, there's so many different things they can all mean. Yeah. So I love pairing it with decks like Erica's because those little words, those key words can help you really pull out the message from the tarot card that you're supposed to get, you know? So I love pairing them together with tarot. I love the Black Moon Astrology Oracle cards right now. I feel like I've been using those a lot because I like astrology. I'm not an astrologer, but I'm learning a lot about astrology. And I find that those astrology cards can add a lot of like different depth and perspective to readings. I like the Earth Magic Oracle. That's kind of a nature sort of oracle deck. I like the magical spell cards. For love oracle decks, I love Mystic Moon oracles. I don't know if you guys follow Mystic Moon. Most of her decks are love life decks. She has some other ones. A lot of them are centered around twin flame, but you can still use them even if you're not into twin flame, which neither of us really are, which is fine.
Sorry, I don't mean to offend any of y'all.
No,
it's just not my cup of tea. I just don't like you. I already said it. I don't like all these terms we get hooked on and stuff. So people get too obsessed with twin flame. But yeah, that's cool.
Yes. So our final question that we had was, okay, this is actually a really good question. It's how do you tell the difference between your ego and your intuition when you read for yourself?
Okay. You know what? Trial and error really taught me this, you know, like just what I do to read for myself a lot. And this helps is I have a journal and I will either pull a card of the day or do like a forecast for myself. And then taking my initial thoughts of what it could be based upon what's been happening and what I'm feeling, and then let it play out. And then let's see how it resonated later. Because sometimes it's different than what I thought. And that helps for you to come up with your own personal connection to the card you pulled and like how life brings it to reality for you. But as far as the difference between intuition and ego, there are occasions where it can be both. And what I mean by that is like your intuition can be like, so like ego in the sense of like, okay, maybe you're feeling insecure or fearful about something. Like, let's say, oh, I think so-and-so is cheating. And then your ego is responding and it's making you insecure and fearful. But it is also your intuition telling you that so-and-so is cheating. So there are occasions where it can be a little bit of both. Yeah. But what I would say is that if you can think back, like more so turn it into an exercise. So like if you can think back to a time that you felt something and it ended up being correct, what were you experiencing in your body? Yeah. You know, like for me, I remember one time when I felt like somebody was lying to me. I get cold when like somebody is throwing out bad energy or lying or something like that. My body will get cold. Yes. but it's not like the good goosebumps kind of a way. That's different, but it's like a cold feeling in my bones, and it's like uncomfortable. And so I realized that that's what happened, and then later I found out the person was lying. So um and then when something is accurate, like spirit talking, I will sometimes get goosebumps, but I feel warm. It's warm, but I get goosebumps, you know? So I think that's it. But like when it comes to your intuition talking, even if it's something that you kind of fear, there's almost just like this kind of peaceful knowing of like, okay, this is just is what it is. I just feel it. I know it. I sense it. And if it's your ego talking, it's kind of more of just like, how to explain it? Like, let me think of an example. I'm better with examples. Okay, so like an example, right? Like with everything going on within the world, like an example for ego could be like afraid to touch a button because other people touched it because you're afraid of getting sick. And it's like you have no intuitive knowing that there's something on that button. You're just like super scared of it. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like a fear that's there, and you're just, I don't know, you're being fearful and insecure about it. But I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense or
Yeah.
not.
No, I think it comes down to the relationship you have with yourself and understanding, you know, when you go into a reading on a certain topic, like really maybe having already had a conversation with yourself that no matter what you see in the cards, we're just going to accept the answer. So it's like acceptance is really important. But I think also like one thing that helps me is like, because I do this thing because I don't want to make myself ever anxious if I do read on something and I'm expecting a certain answer. Sometimes I do this thing where I soothe myself and it's like, well, it might be this or it might be that. But then I think, and I'm like, well, what if I was pulling this same spread for someone else? What if I was reading for a client right now?
Mm-hmm.
Would I be sugarcoating this message as much for this client? Probably not, because ultimately it's a lot easier to keep it real with someone else on a situation you're not emotionally invested in. So that can be something that helps.
Yeah, that does help when you read for yourself, to read as like if you were talking to a client or a good friend, how would you just throw it out there for them? And another tip I used to do was I would read for myself, but maybe use my middle name Renee, and be like,
Yeah,
oh, what does Renee need to know? It's still me, but you know what
that's
I
smart.
mean. I don't do that anymore because I'm talking about the very beginning of my journey. Another mistake on that note that I used to do when I was starting out years ago was you see cards that don't look great to you, but then you keep pulling and pulling and pulling till you think something looks good. Like,
Just
don't do that.
stop.
Just don't do that. You just got to take it for what it is, because even though sometimes the card may not look great, like let's say the Tower card, like that could actually end up being a really good thing. Those Tower moments at the end of it all, you just got to trust it, because sometimes that truth has to come out. So we got sometimes we just want it to look a certain way so bad, but it's just, you just got to
Yeah,
pull the card. This is why I like writing it down in a journal. Like, you pull the cards for the day, you write it down as they come. You don't keep pulling till you get a pretty one in terms of like the sun or something. So that makes you feel better. You pull what you pull and let it play out and see how it played out for the day, and it'll help you to get more confident with coming up with how you connect and how you read the cards, because deep down you already know what it's telling you, even in the beginning.
exactly.
You just don't want to accept it.
Exactly. And these cards are on such a gradient because, like, I feel like spirit tricks you too. Because, like, the sun, for example, when you said that, for so many people, that's like the warm, fuzzy, happy card. For me, the sun is clarity. The sun means the truth. So
Mhm.
that's not always going to be warm and fuzzy every single time. You know what I mean?
It's
So,
like, wake up. Wake up.
yes. I also think too, like, using sometimes if you're reading for yourself, I do think sometimes using a spread can be helpful because then you're working within a framework and
Mhm.
it's like not allowing for you to make assumptions on putting these different cards together in a way that might not be serving you, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, in the beginning, some spreads can be good. I did use some spreads in the very beginning, basic ones. I've learned, but it's custom. Like, don't what works for us might not work for y'all. I always tell people there's like people get, these are the rules for tarot and oracle and this and that. There's no rules. There's no rules. So let me just go back because I saw somebody send a question earlier. Maybe we can get to it
Yeah.
before we run. Honey the Influence said, when you think of someone, is it because they're thinking of you, or can you think of someone for them to call you also? Um, I, I mean, I think sometimes it could be that they're thinking of you, but I think a lot of the time it could just be your own ruminating thoughts in terms of wanting to hear from that person. Like it could be a combination of both at times. I think that like if this is someone that you haven't thought about or talked to for like months or years, and then randomly they pop in your head, it could be them projecting some energy of thinking about you. Or their spirit like indirectly contacting you. But for the most part, like if you're thinking of someone pretty consistently, it's probably just you wanting to talk to that person or hear from them or something like that. Yeah. What do you think?
I agree. I was going to say the same thing. I think it depends. Like if it's someone that's kind of always on your mind or close to being on your mind every day versus a person that is just random. Because that's happened to me before where like I've just randomly thought of someone out of nowhere and then I'll hear from them. That happens, but it's usually not someone that I'm constantly thinking of, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, like the other day I was my cousin who I literally haven't talked to in like maybe 10 years or something like that. He popped into my head, and then a couple of days later he added me on Facebook, so he must have been thinking of me for him to add on
Yeah.
Facebook. So that's an example. Hey, um I don't know, did you want to open it up to a couple more questions if anybody has any, or you ready to run? Did it freeze? Oh, I think she froze. I don't know what happened. Let me ask y'all, can y'all still see and hear me? Oh, those of you who are here, can y'all still see and hear me? I think Melissa's service got cut off. But am I still here? Internet. I don't know. Well, I guess I'll close it out now. Oh, wait. What's going on here? Let me see if I can add her back on.
I
Okay,
have
there we
no idea what
go.
happened.
Ah, I was like, can y'all still see me?
Sorry, I don't know what happened. I was like scrolling up to look to see if there were more questions, and then I think I just X'd out of the live. Sorry,
Oh,
everyone.
that's okay. I was saying, did you want to open it up to more questions, or were you ready to run?
Up to you.
Okay. Well, we can answer if anybody else has some more questions they want to throw in. Um, while I wait for that, let me just see if there's anything else on my mind to chit chat about while we're here. Um,
Hopefully, everybody's feeling happy and high vibe and not getting stuck in social media with all the world events going on.
oh man, I've been dodging that.
Yes.
Sheesh. Okay, so I will ask you this question. What
Okay.
is your response to people that say, for example, oh, they're just a tarot reader, they're just reading the cards? Like, you know what I mean? What's your response to that when people say those kinds of things? They're just reading the cards as if there's nothing else coming from what's behind that.
I would say that that person is probably really ignorant to what reading cards actually is. I would say, there's so much more to that. I mean, does that person that's saying that, have they ever read cards? Do they know what it's like? Have they ever gotten a reading?
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think what people, yes, people can read cards. You can teach yourself to read the cards and you can look up these definitions and learn these spreads, but that's only going to get you so far, like, because there's not one meaning to any card. And so it's not going to be the same meaning for everyone and everyone's situation and what they're going through and their experience. It's kind of like how we talk about the world of TikTok these days. You know what I mean? So, who was Tatiana Tarot put it well. Shout out Tatiana Tarot. She said, everyone can sing, but not everyone's going to sound like Mariah Carey. And that's
Right.
kind of how it is these days because so many people read tarot and oracle. Um, for people like us who do have intuitive natural gifts, it's kind of like the card. Let's pull. Oh, moving on. Woo-hoo. Um, it's like the card will spark something, but then everything else kind of just gets downloaded after that from
Right.
intuition. And whether you're reading the image, whether you're reading the word or the number, or whether you're reading some random color on it, it doesn't
Right.
really matter. It sparks something and then the rest gets filled in for those who are good readers and
Yeah.
not just reading a definition and something like that. So
Right.
that's what I would say to that. We're not just reading the cards. I think that people don't understand that this is not really anything. There's no magic in this at all. It's printed paper, you know.
Right.
So it's not the cards giving us information, because you can tap into something else. Like you can shake up some rocks and throw it down, and then, for example, and then that can spark a download there.
Yeah.
It's a divination tool. So I just like images and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
so it's not, the magic is not in the cards. And even if we were to take the other side and say, oh, we're just reading the cards, why is it that the cards that came out apply to your situation though?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So even if I get a card that says moving on, like I got, and I'm just reading the card, oh, the card says moving on, but it applies to you, and I'm just
Mhm.
reading the card, why is that a bad thing if it's accurate? You know what I
Right.
mean? Because I don't think people realize that how the law of attraction works too with that. When you're shuffling the cards, your intuition is in your nervous system. So when you're asking a question or you're tapping into someone, when you're shuffling the cards, you're intuitively putting them in order for what they need to see. So even if you are just reading the cards, it's still for that person, you know?
Right. Because how do you explain, like, what's the logical, or as people say, science-based explanation for why these specific cards came out of this huge deck in my hands, right?
Yeah, and they could try to logically explain it away. That's okay. But my thing is still, at the end of the day, if it's helping someone get the answers they
Yeah,
need, who cares how and why it's working? It's working. That's just me.
totally. What do you think about like readers on social media and maybe like advice you would give to like clients or consumers of that content around like how much they should be consuming and when to maybe turn it off or
I
who to
think
trust and not to trust?
I think that it's good to take breaks. I usually tell my clients, I mean, I'm the kind of person that if I start to think that you're getting too many readings or I can't help you because there's no updates or anything, I will tell you, I will either say I can't read for you right now, or I'll return the money, things like
Mhm.
that, if I can't fulfill the reading for some reason. Um, because I have, back in my day before I really got confident in reading for myself and just my own self-awareness, I suffered psychic reading addiction. You know what I mean? And it it's not good to hop around to so many different readers asking the same question over and over and over, one, it's not good for your finances, but also um, you're not listening to your own inner voice and your own intuition. Readers will pick up different things as well. I don't think people understand that people have different gifts and will pick up different things. Like, for example, if someone says, oh, are we going to be together? And I choose to read in near future, which is within a year. Can I read beyond that? Yes, but I really don't want to for several reasons. So if I'm like, I don't really see it happening, but I'm speaking on like near future, and then somebody's like, oh yeah, I see this and that happening, but what if they're seeing 10 years down the road? So there's also this consideration of time as a construct of, well, when are we, at what point in the future are we seeing as different readers, and keeping that in mind when clients check in with that.
Yeah.
Also, law of attraction wise, people don't realize that readings change the future. Like, knowing the future can change it,
Right.
I believe. So if you are, and on top of that, with law of attraction and energy, let's say you are really wanting someone to contact you, but they have told you, I'm not ready, I need a break, I need to focus on myself, but you're getting readings on a weekly or daily basis. How do they feel about me now? When are they going to contact me? Or maybe you're watching tons of pick a card readings about someone with all these different readers. Not only are you not allowing life to happen and trusting your own intuition, but what you're also doing is energetically smothering that person. They
Yeah.
asked for space. They told you they're not ready. And you may not realize it, but every time you ask about that person, every time you're constantly thinking about them, energetically it's latching a cord onto them, and it's making them like, I don't want to contact them even more. I need space. They may not
Mm-hmm.
know it's you, but they just know that they don't want to get in touch
Mm-hmm.
because you're not giving them that energetic space. And if you do get a reading, like let's say you ask me for a time frame, and then 5 days later you ask again, when are they going to contact me? That's putting resistance and doubt into the universe. So you're possibly changing it and pushing it away and changing the timeline. Or if I say, I recommend you don't contact them, and then you contact them, that also alters things. So
Yeah.
future's not set in stone. So what I always say, the best way to get a reading is really to more so take it as a navigation tool, moment to moment, and more so present, rather than so much future. Like, you can look into it, but use it as a navigation tool, because energy does change, and knowing the future can change it. It can change your course for the good or the bad of how you choose to go about it. So my advice would be, um, if you have to keep getting readings on the same person and wondering how they're feeling, what they're doing, when they're going to contact, at this moment, it's probably not your person for right
Yeah.
now. So the best thing is to treat it as over, and to begin to grieve and start to focus on yourself and your healing. And then that way, if they do pop up later, it's a pleasant surprise, but you're
Yeah.
not energetically smothering them, pushing them further away. Or you're also opening the door for whoever is your person to come in at that time. And it's not to say that somebody can't change later and be your person, because energy is always changing. But what I'm saying is, you're probably not equally yoked if you have to keep asking about someone and what they're
No.
up to and what they're doing, or getting pick a card readings, check-ins. You know what I mean?
There's
And
a
even,
there's go ahead, sorry.
oh no, I was gonna say, and even if it's the fact, maybe it's a difference of love language to where they don't communicate what they feel, well then maybe that's a compatibility issue that needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
So
No, like I think there's a reason why once you've totally moved on with your life and completely forgotten about someone, it's like the second you do that, they always come back in some
because you
way.
let up on that energetic smothering.
Yes. It's
That's what
happened to
you
me so many times where it's like you're moving along with your life, you're happy, you're not even thinking about it, and then they come knocking on the door again.
yeah
And
we need to
hopefully, like if it was someone that wasn't the right fit, you're in a space now where you don't even care that they've reached out to you because you have other things going on in your life. I think,
Yeah.
like, for me, when it comes to readings, I wish, like, something that I'll do with clients, not often, but kind of like similar to what you were saying, is like if someone's coming to me for readings on the same person over and over and over again, it doesn't happen often, but it's always good, I think, to maybe also think about getting a reading on why you feel so, um, yeah, like why do you have such a tight grip on this connection? Like, what is it about this person that's bringing this energy out in you where you feel like you're not able to let it go, or you need to like know what's going on? I don't want to, I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Like
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I
We
think
should
like
do,
that can be very empowering to maybe better understand yourself and maybe take the attention off of that other person and put it back onto you.
yeah.
Because you can only change you. You can't change the other person and what they're doing.
Mm-mm. We should do a separate video one day about energetic smothering. But
It's a good topic.
yeah, I feel like maybe once a month is a good, you know how you usually go for once a month to like your therapist or something like that.
Yep.
Like maybe a once a month reading check-in on the same topic at least could be cool. But or maybe unless something really changes and shifts, or if you're asking about something different, like one reading you're asking about love, a different reading you're asking about career or about yourself or something, that's different, that's cool. But I think once a month, if you feel like that's what you want, that's good. But much more than that can be a bit too much unless
Yeah.
it's just daily guidance, like say you pull a card of the day for yourself and that's an everyday thing, or like cards of the day and that's an everyday thing. That's more general, that's just overall guidance. I think that's cool. But
Yeah.
I think readings on the same kind of topic, like how do they feel, when are they going to call me, or when am I going to get the job, all of that is like doubtful energy that actually pushes away your desires if you're doing it on a consistent basis, like daily or weekly or something like that. So try to limit that a little bit more. Try to listen to your own intuition and what you're feeling, and just let life happen
Yeah.
sometimes. um, Last thing I'll say, and then I think we're probably going to run, is I recommend just doing overall forecasts and seeing how those go. Because, and here's the thing, if you feel like you can't really put what's said in a forecast, like if you're not able to have the awareness of how something is relating in a forecast to you in your own life. Because like if I'm doing a forecast, just speaking on myself, if I'm doing a forecast for you and I say it could be this or it could be that, but I may not see the exact specifics, this is just like the energy I'm picking up. If you can't really pinpoint how it fits into your life, then it may be kind of a own self-awareness thing for you, because nobody should have to tell you step by step literally what something means all of the time.
Yeah.
An element of critical thinking and self-awareness that's needed to kind of like, okay, now that things have played out, I see how that fit into this area over here. Like I'll give an example. Now that I'm pregnant, I keep pulling the love triangle card.
Yeah.
And if I was getting a reading from someone and they did not have the awareness that I was pregnant and they pulled a love triangle card, they might possibly interpret a different way. But I have the self-awareness to know that I know this is because me and my boyfriend have a third party love of our baby on the way.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to have your own level of self-awareness, even if a reader doesn't fully explain it how you think they should. That's where your own self-awareness kicks in to like, okay, it still applies, kind of like the message we were saying, even if they're just reading the cards, it's still a card that applies to you, but you need to have the self-awareness of how did it apply. Yeah. Did you want to say anything before we run?
No, I think the only other thing is, should we talk about our video really quick that's coming out tomorrow?
Oh, yes.
So we have another video collab that we will be posting at some point tomorrow. This time we're doing a career-focused reading for spring on YouTube. So definitely want to make sure you guys check that out. We're both going to be reading on, just like career forecasts for spring. And then you can visit, each of our videos to get like an extended version of the reading.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pick a card. So it's like, let's say you saw mine first. After you're done with mine, click on the link to go to Melissa's, and it's gonna just extend your reading for a more full on perspective, and also just to get different styles of reading. Because, like we were saying, readers pick up on different things, so it gives more information. So,
Yep.
yeah. So we'll have that out tomorrow. Don't know what time yet, but it'll be out. So make sure
Yes.
you're subscribed to both of our YouTube channels. Um, Melissa's YouTube channel is Tarot by Melissa, and mine is Psychic Goddess Erica. And if you're just joining in and you missed it, we're gonna save this. It's gonna temporarily be up on IGTV, um, given that everything downloads properly, manifesting it.
Yes.
And after that, we'll try to get it up on our YouTubes. So yeah, so the information will be out there. And thank you for joining in. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Erica. Thank all of you guys for joining us. And I guess we'll talk soon.
Yes, bye.